When Gears of War first landed in 2006, it changed the way shooters were made. Cover mechanics became the new industry standard, active reloads became a rhythm minigame woven into gameplay, and Marcus Felix's gravel voice Prison Breakout kicked off an era of chest-high wall and chainsaw deals that defined the Xbox 360. Almost 20 years later, Gears of War Reloaded brings that game back, not as a reimagining, but as a faithful remaster designed to remind us why Gears mattered in the first place. After 100% completing Reloaded, every campaign achievement, every COG tag, and hours spent in multiplayer, I can tell you that this is a game suspended between two worlds. On the one hand, it's an impressive visual update that makes the ruined cities of Serra sing in 4K HDR, and on the other, it's a museum piece. A preservation effort that refuses to add or subtract, leaving the bones of 2006 intact for better and worse. The first thing that hits you in Reloaded is just how good it looks. Unreal Engine 5's upgrades breathe new life into Serra's gothic industrial hellscape. Broken streets gleam under HDR lighting, ruined cathedrals stretch skyward in jagged silhouettes, and locust tunnels pulse with eerie bioluminescence. Campaign runs at 60 FPS, multiplayer can push 120, and everything feels sharp, heavy, and immediate. This polish does not come for free. This new coat of paint sands down some of the grit that gave the original its character. On Xbox 360, textures were muddy, characters oversized, and the whole aesthetic carried a strange, cartoony, grim quality. Reloaded replaces that with clinical fidelity. Dust particles hang in the air, armor plating shines under firelight. And for me, it looks more real, but also less raw. What hasn't changed is the sense of atmosphere. From Marcus's Prison Breakout to storm-swept street lit only by a spotlight keeping the Krill at bay, the environments remain claustrophobic and oppressive. Audio still plays a huge role. The guttural roars of locust drones and metallic grind of Lancer chainsaws, the thump of grenades echoing in tight corridors. With modern surround setups or good headphones, Serra feels as alive and hostile as it ever did. And it's here, in my opinion, where Reloaded succeeds the best. Even if you've played these levels dozens of times, the updated visuals and sound design make them worth experiencing again. It feels less like returning to an old game and more like stepping back into a memory of how you thought it looked in 2006. Gears has never been subtle. Marcus Phoenix is a scowling soldier archetype. Dom is the loyal brother in arms. Baird is the sarcastic, and Coltrane is larger than life. The Locusts are implacable subterranean monsters. To this effect, the plot is also straightforward. Escape prison, link up with Delta Squad, deploy the Lightmass bomb, and kill General Ram. Reloaded doesn't touch a line of dialogue or a single cutscene, and that's the right choice. This isn't a game remembered for narrative nuance, it's remembered for tone. It's the mix of camaraderie and fatalism that gives weight to Delta Squad's march through destroyed cities. When Marcus growls, "nice," after a perfect headshot, it's goofy, it's iconic, and it still makes me smile. When Dom risks everything to pull Marcus out of a cell, that's brotherhood distilled to its purest form. The campaign is a string of linear firefights stitched together with cutscenes that flirt with cliché. But cliché isn't always bad. It's effective shorthand, and here it frames a war story about survival against impossible odds. In the modern era, in 2025, the story's biggest value is nostalgia. Coltrane's bombastic entrance, Baird's sarcastic quips, the ominous reveal of Ram, they hit just as hard now as they did back in 2006. For new players, the dialogue and pacing might feel dated, but it's impossible to miss the DNA of countless modern shooters woven into the game's foundation. The story is simple, yes, but simplicity can be powerful, and here it still resonates. Gameplay mechanics is where Reloaded proves why Gears left such a mark. The cover system, the roadie run, the satisfying weight of popping out to land a precise shot. It still feels phenomenal. The active reload system remains one of the smartest mechanics in shooters, transforming reloading from downtime into risk versus reward decision making. Nail it and your bullets hit harder, miss it and you're exposed. The arsenal is also unforgettable. The Lancer's chainsaw bayonet is still the most distinctive assault rifle in gaming. The Gnasher dominates close quarters, forcing aggressive movement and precision. Torque bombs, boom shoots, snub pistols. Every weapon carries its own rhythm and identity. Firefights are kinetic, brutal and bloody in ways most shooters even now struggle to replicate. Co-op remains the best way to experience Gears. Running solo is fine, but the design was built for two, reviving each other under fire, flanking enemies, shouting out threats. This is Gears at its very best. The missing split screen support on PC is a baffling omission, though couch co-op is part of the franchise's DNA, and its absence makes the experience feel incomplete. Level design reflects its era. Combat arenas are tightly choreographed. Waves of locusts push forward. You dig into cover, flank, and repeat. It can feel predictable by modern standards, but the set pieces still land. Berserkers charge, corpses battle, Ram's final duel, they all hold their weight, both mechanically and atmospherically. Not everything aged perfectly though. Cover can feel sticky. AI partners sometimes behave oddly, and a handful of dialogue lines or hit registrations can bug out. They don't ruin the experience, but they remind us that this is a polished preservation, not a full remake. Multiplayer, of course, is back, and it's as punishing as ever. Wall bouncing shotgun duels and pinpoint aiming define the battlefield. Veterans will feel right at home, while newcomers might find the learning curve brutal. But that's the soul of Gears multiplayer. It doesn't hold your hand, and it will test your grit. Now let's move on to the Completionist experience. Well, the campaign achievements are straightforward. Beat each difficulty, collect every COG tag, take down every boss. Clearing Insane mode, especially in co-op, is the ultimate skill check, with brothers to the end against Ram demanding flawless teamwork. Finding all 33 COG tags unlocks For the Fallen, and while guides make them easier now, the act of hunting them down still captures that haunting sense of combing through battlefields for traces of the fallen. The grind begins in multiplayer. Level 25, level 100, re-up, and of course, seriously, 10,000 multiplayer kills. These achievements are brutal, demanding hundreds of hours. Back in 2006, they were a badge of honor. Today, they feel like relics from a time when grinds were built to last until the sequel dropped. Still, I suppose there may be a certain charm in knowing that less than 1% of players will ever see the seriously achievement pop. It's a challenge, a test of endurance, and for those who thrive on that, it's motivating. The list has enough variety to keep things interesting. Perfect active reload chains, weapon-specific kills, map wins. It spreads the challenge across campaigns and multiplayer. But the missing split screen hurts again, as achievements tied to co-op feel less accessible without it. Coordinating full runs online doesn't hit the same as passing a second controller to a friend. That being said, the moment Endless Battle pops, you know you've cleared every single achievement. Immense satisfaction. It's brutal, yes, but fitting. Gears has always been about endurance, and Reloaded makes you earn it. So here is my final verdict. Gears of War Reloaded isn't trying to reinvent itself. It's not an reimagining, it's a preservation. A chance to step back in time to 2006, but with 2025 visuals sharpening every edge. And in that, it succeeds. The setting is striking, even if the polish makes it feel a little too clean. The story is cheesy, iconic, but still effective. The gameplay remains weighty, brutal, and satisfying, with quirks that don't diminish its impact. For completionists, the achievement list is a double-edged lancer. exhausting in its demands but deeply rewarding to conquer. For newcomers, this is the best way to experience where Gears began. For veterans, it's a nostalgia trip sharpened by fidelity. For completionists like myself, it's a reminder that some grinds were worth doing, not because they're convenient, but because they taste patience, persistence, and love for the game. Although I would love to have only gone through that grind once. Reloaded doesn't rewrite history, but it doesn't need to. It lets the original speak, louder and cleaner than ever. And nearly 2 decades on, the original still has plenty to say. And that's my full 100% complete review of Gears of War Reloaded. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I've got plenty of 100% reviews and rankings on the way, covering both classics and the latest releases. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay nerdy.